Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Cupcakes and Hot Takes with Maral and John. I'm John.
I'm Maral.
And welcome. And today's episode, we will be talking about The Godfather Part II.
Hope everyone had a good Christmas.
Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, a happy, long, extended weekend. Well, let's get right to it.
All right, the synopsis. We follow Michael Corleone 7 years, I believe, after he becomes a godfather. He's well into the family business at this point. We are in Las Vegas now. He is a big-time mob boss, and it's his dwellings into the crime family.
Yeah, so towards the end of the first movie, Michael talked about, moving out to Nevada and getting involved in that scene. So that's where he is, during the movie. Main place, he is in Las Vegas. In Nevada, at least. And so that's half of the movie. And then the movie flops back and forth to tell the story of Vito Corleone, the original Godfather from the first movie. So you see him, starting from childhood, how he started out in Italy, coming to America, and how he ended up becoming the Don.
So it's kind of two stories in one.
Yeah. And it keeps flip-flopping back and forth, so, you get a good feel of both.
And that's why that movie's like 3 hours long.
Yes. Actually, it's about 3 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I think if you count credits. Very long movie, so if you do want to watch it, just prepare yourself for a long, long sit.
They literally have an intermission.
Yeah, literally, during the movie. I think it's like 2 hours in, the screen goes black and white letters, intermission. So, yeah. With that, so what are your initial thoughts, your grade for the movie? What would you give it?
I would give it an 8.3 cupcake out of 10 cupcakes.
8.3?
Mm-hmm.
I'm around the same ballpark. I give it about an 8.5 cupcakes out of 10. Or
wow.
A solid B.
You actually do it higher than me.
Yeah, which is very controversial to most movie critics and whatnot. Most people claim that Part 2 was actually the better film between 1 and 2, which obviously with us is not the case. Hot take.
Yeah, most people prefer the second one. It's pretty split, I would say, like 75-25. 25 preferring the first, adamantly. Like, everyone who has a preference has, like, a strong preference. Which one is preferred? Don't you think?
I mean, from what I've seen and, met with people who've seen the movies, and, the professional critic scene, for the most part, everyone loved number 2 better. I don't see why, but we're going to be talking about that with this take.
Yeah, and from here on out, I think we're going into spoiler territory.
Yeah, so if you have not seen the movie and you want to see it without spoilers, pause us if you're watching us on YouTube, or stop watching the stream, although I don't think anyone's on stream right now. So, alright, let's get right to it.
Alright.
So start off, as usual, we talk about the awards, the accolades of the movie. During the 47th Academy Awards, it was nominated for 9 awards and won 6. So interestingly enough, nominated for less awards than number 1, but it did win
more.
It did win more than the original Godfather. But in my opinion, looking at it, it did not have a lot of competition. Let's see. It was nominated for these 9 awards: Best Picture,
which it won.
Best Director, it won. Best Actor, Al Pacino, he was nominated. Best Supporting Actor, 3 different characters or actors were nominated for Best Supporting Actor from The Godfather. So
just like the first one.
Just like the first one. So we got Robert De Niro, who played the young Vito Corleone. He won Best Supporting Actor. And then we also have Michael V. Gazzo and Lee Strasberg. Sorry, Maral's letting out our dog. He's tapping to go to the bathroom. Let's see. Best Supporting Actress. Best Adapted Screenplay, which it won. Best Art Direction, which it won. Best Costume Design was nominated, and Best Original Dramatic Score, which it won. You know what? Now that I think about it, we've completely forgot to play some background music this episode.
Oh,
yeah. So thank you to our good friend, Kevin Youngman Lee, for that suggestion. We completely forgot about it this episode, so we'll make sure to have it set up for the next episode. So.
Promise.
We promise. Yeah, it just hit me because.
It's a really great idea to put the soundtrack music on.
Oh, that might be a better idea.
I love
Yeah. Yeah. See, so if you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments. We're always open to finding ways to making this podcast better. We are brand new at this, and quite frankly, I think we suck at it a little bit. So.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Well. All right. So while I'm waiting for Maral to come back to sit down with me, let's just talk about the Academy Awards, the 47th Academy Awards.
Now, did this come out the next year following?
2 years later.
Oh, 2 years later. Okay, which is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Considering it's 3.5 hours.
Yeah, but realistically, it may have won more awards than the first one, but honestly, the competition wasn't as fierce as during the 45th Academy Awards. So, for example, the Best Pictures nominees. There's The Godfather Part II, Chinatown, The Conversation, which Francis Ford Coppola, the director of Godfather Part II, he was a producer in that. Lenny, and The Towering Inferno.
I only know Chinatown.
I've heard of 2 of those movies.
I've seen Chinatown.
Okay. But yeah, realistically, what competition was there? Pretty sad, and it won plenty of awards. So I take that with a grain of salt with the number of awards it won and what it did win. Kind of going about like Leo winning Best Actor for Revenant, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole we'll go down maybe another day.
Is there a Leo movie that's on our list?
I'm not sure.
We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. Although I'm not saying Leo didn't deserve an Academy Award for Best Actor. He didn't deserve it for that movie.
No.
It just there's no one else that year. It was just.
And also the Academy was just like, give him an award.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's dive into them. Or is there anything else you want to talk about the awards?
I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it deserved Best Original Dramatic Score. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of this musical score. There's this one score or one theme where it's like an intense, trying to build intensity in the scene. It's like dun 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 dun, right? It just sounded like Jaws, but a crappy version of Jaws. I was just like, is this all you can do? Granted, Jaws came out later, and that was a masterpiece. John Williams with just 2 simple notes made something so iconic. But the Godfather theme they used, terrible. I was like, what is going on? It's a shame because the first Godfather, the main theme. Granted, it was stolen from Fortunella, but it was good.
It was good.
All right. Yeah.
All right. No. Let's
move
forward.
All right. Let's move forward. So one thing about this movie, we talk about 2 different people, 2 different stories. We got Michael Corleone, who's the head of the Curran family, and the story of Vito Corleone, as he's growing up.
The previous Godfather.
And it really tries to show one, how much things have changed and can stay the same, that contrast and the similarities within just one generation. But also how I kind of saw it was a story of a rich man when solving his issues versus a poor immigrant man.
I saw it a little differently, but we'll digress further. Go ahead with your theory.
Oh yeah, and kind of going off with that, in the first movie, you wanted Michael Corleone to win. You wanted the Godfather and his family to win. But I did not get that feeling in this movie. I still wanted Vito to win. He was just crappy situation his whole life, right? His father was murdered. His brother was murdered. His mother was murdered. He had to sneak off to America to live at like 9 years old. Living on his own. He ends up getting smallpox, on the way to America. And, he finally gets a job, a family, a hardworking guy. And then he loses his job because the mob boss, Fanucci, he's like, my nephew needs a job to, the shop owner. And so the shop owner has to let go of Vito. But despite that, Vito was still a good man. He didn't, accept anything, out of pity. Sorry, our dog Baron is squeaking away. I'm sorry, where was I going with this?
He was a good man.
Yeah, he was just a good guy, Even when he lost his job because of Fanucci, he didn't, have no ill will towards Fanucci or anything.
He didn't want revenge, nothing.
Yeah, he didn't want revenge or nothing. He just found another way to make ends meet. Oh my goodness, all our pets are bothering us today. Made him an offer I can't refuse.
Look, it's Legion. You can't even see her because she's so dark.
But yeah, so what you were gonna say between Michael and Vito's stories?
I found that the two were very interesting in parallel because it was kind of the rise and the fall of the family. You know what I mean? So Vito brings the family up because what does Vito focus on? He focuses on providing for his family. He never takes too much. He's here for the community. He's here to help people in his Italian community. He says, if that man's Italian, what's his name?
Fanucci.
If Fanucci's Italian, why does he squeeze other Italians? And so I found that Vito rises because he prioritizes his family and his community. And Michael falls because he loses sight of his family. He stops caring about his family. He starts to become too good at being the Don. Cares too much about the money. Doesn't spend time with his kids. Big spoiler, doesn't care about his family to the point where he's going to murder his own brother.
I mean, in that defense, though, Fredo set him up to be killed. Granted, Fredo didn't know, right, the full effect of what he was doing. He was being a selfish person, and, he wanted some, piece of the pie for himself. But at the end of the day, he did take sides against the family and almost had his brother killed. I had Michael killed because of that. Not only Michael, but his wife. I think it's more than that. I saw it more as the focus of the two different characters. Vito, he, at the end of the day, when you see him, what is he? He's a family man. He wanted to provide for himself and his family, and that was really it. And, even, he didn't have anything against Fanucci when Fanucci, he lost his job. He found another way by, granted, he was stealing and selling goods. But, he never really went after Fanucci until Fanucci went after him and his family's financial stability, right? Fanucci's like, give me $200 each, just to wet my beak a little bit. And, realistically, it's not like Vito was making, thousands of dollars. He was probably, barely making ends meet even with that. So he only took action when his family was threatened. Even at the end when he kills that mob boss in Sicily, he did it because that mob boss killed his family, right? So his family was always the key. Where Michael, I felt like it was a story of a man who wanted it all, right? He wanted everything. Like, he still loved his family. He still cared about his family. But he wanted it all. And he couldn't have that, right? And he never realized that till the end. When he's talking to his own mother, it's like, Mom, did Dad ever worry about, was losing, the family? Mom's like, no, family's always going to be there was always going to be there for him. And he knew that. Because, yeah, you know, the Don knew when he had enough. He wasn't greedy.
No.
Right? I mean, yeah, they dabbled in a lot of things, but Don Corleone, Vito, he knew when it was enough.
You could say he vetoed drugs.
Yeah, you know, he didn't want to do drugs even though it was lucrative. You know, he didn't want to, you know, he just knew when to sit back just to give things up, give up power, you know, after the attempt on his life. Like I said, he knew when it was enough. Where Michael, like I said, he just kept wanting more and more and more. And yeah, it was, you could say it was for his family, but, you know, that's an argument there in itself. But, yeah, he just lost his family. The one most important thing to him, he got the world, but it cost him his family. You know, if he just knew when was enough. And, you know, that's why you don't want him to win. He's just a greedy guy, you know. Just, yeah, I want the casino, you know, I want this, I want that. You know, I gotta, work my territory in New York still, you know. He couldn't let Frank just, run the family in New York the way he wanted to. You know, just Michael just couldn't stop, just had to control everything and everyone.
See, I think it's the fall because when you look at the first film, Michael doesn't like the family business. He doesn't want to be a part of it. But why does he do it? Because his father gets shot. And he's like, oh my God, my family's in danger. I have to do this for the family, right? And so he joins the business and he becomes a decent godfather because he wanted to do it for the family. But 7 years later, he lost his soul and he forgot what his focus was. And he forgot what it was all about.
Yeah.
He became too good at the game.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, that kind of goes back into the whole, you know, did you want Michael to win?
During this? No.
No, right? And, you know, that loses the magic of what the first Godfather had. You know, it's these evil people you want to win. With Michael, you're just... Only reason you wanted Michael to win was because you liked him from the first movie. You know, if that first movie didn't exist, you wouldn't care for Michael. But enough of that. Let's move on to, you know, some other things about the movie. You know, I was talking about the this musical score earlier. There was one song I liked in the movie. It's when Vito Corleone, he meets this guy Clemenza, right? And Clemenza kind of like introduces him into robbing, you know, rich people and, you know, reselling the goods. And, you know, Clemenza tells him, oh yeah, this is my friend's house. You know, this is a rug that he was going to give me. I'll give it to you as a gift, right? But obviously they're stealing, right? And there's this song that plays you know, like this fun melody while they're stealing and robbing this rich family's house.
It's a fun scene.
Right? But it's like a fun, ridiculous score that I really did enjoy. And just really show, like, what must have been going on through Vito's mind. Like, what the fuck is happening right now? You know, because, you know, they're, like, they get inside the house. They break in, right? And, you know, they hear a knock on the door. And Clemenza, like, stands by the door with a gun ready to shoot in case someone comes in. And Vito's over here like, what the fuck is happening, right? Come here, Legion. Stay with me. So, you know, like I said, the score wasn't all bad. It had its moments. But yeah, let's kind of go back into the beginning of the movie. It opens up. The movie, first scene, we see Michael, right? And he's not really doing much. He's just kind of standing there, sitting there. And then it goes right into, you know, the young Vito's life. And, alright, Legion, you gotta stay down there. And even with that, I wasn't a big fan of that opening. It's like, oh yeah, here's Michael. And then it goes right into... They could have cut that, like, 10-second scene out completely. People knew that they were coming to go watch The Godfather. They could have just started with the young Vito scene. And, you know, Vito being, his father was murdered and brother was murdered for trying to get revenge on the Don.
In Italy.
In Italy, and then the mother gets killed. And, because the Don was scared that young Vito was going to come for his life.
I will say that was a really good scene when the mother's pleading for his life.
Yeah.
And then she grabs the Don's neck with a knife. And then she gets shot and she gets blasted back.
With the shotgun?
She goes, run, Vito, run! She gets blasted backwards.
Yeah.
Very great scene.
Yeah. It just reminded me of Oedipus. Don tried to avoid his fate, right? By, the mother said, just let him live. He won't go after you. He won't take revenge, I promise. I'll raise him well. And Don's like, nah, fuck that. He gonna grow up and try to kill me. So I'm gonna try to kill him now. And, that really set in motion, the whole Oedipus thing. Because Oedipus was supposed to come kill his father and, marry his wife, his mother. And then, so they ship him off to kill him or whatnot just to avoid the fate. And that in itself locked in the fate. Sorry, that was just a random little thought I had. But, going back to Vito.
I thought you were going to say something weird about it.
No. Vito, his whole life was difficult. He had a hard life, his whole life. And, it was really fitting to have that peaceful death. I think that's what we all want in life. We all work hard, struggle hard. There's those rich douchebags that, have it easy in life on a silver platter. But that's besides the point. But the rest of us, we work hard. We just want a peaceful life at the end. A peaceful death at the end, which is very deserving for the Don. And I really feel that, the Don got what was coming to him. Hard work, peaceful death. But sorry, I'm going off a little too much. Let's go back to the opening of the movie. So other than the Vito opening scene, it's the same thing. Same opening as the first movie.
It is. It's the same opening. There's the big party.
Big
Don,
celebration.
The Godfather is taking
sit-downs.
But at the same time, it also highlights the differences, right? Because what happens in the beginning, Vito doesn't necessarily want to do the sit-down, but he knows he has to. They take the pictures, and he's like, where's Michael? I'm not taking the picture without Michael. He's thinking about his family the whole time. He dances with his daughter. What does Michael do? None of that.
There's the sit-downs nonstop. Granted, the occasion, I would argue, is not as significant. His son was getting christened versus, the Don's only daughter getting married. So... but still, there is that, portrayal of differences in how things have changed over the years between Michael and Don Corleone. I guess he is Don Corleone. Vito. Sorry, I'm just used to. But like I said, it's the same exact thing pretty much for the most part. It just wasn't as iconic. It didn't have that like intensity. Honestly, it sounded like rich white men bickering. It's like, I don't want to pay for the license. You gotta pay the license. Isn't it only $20,000? But I don't want more money than that. That's all it was. It was super annoying between him and the senator. I don't know about you. And that was the difference. Again, another highlighted difference, right? They're just squabbling over money and things like that. Where, Don Corleone in the first movie, he was taking care of a man whose daughter was brutally raped and, hurt. And it really shows another contrast between the two, about what, they want in life, what they prioritize, what they're willing to do. But yeah, any more thoughts about the beginning of the movie?
No.
Yeah.
You can see the big difference. Michael's got millions. He's donated a bunch of money to some school. He's got senators in his pocket. Not that Vito didn't have politicians, but you can just see the scope has increased.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess.
And I believe Kay at this point mentions, we were supposed to be legit in 5 years. It's been 7 years now. So,
Yeah. Which I guess goes to show it's not easy to go from mob family to legitimate business. But yeah, I guess it really just shows, there's lots of hopes and expectations that fall through. All these mob bosses, want something better out of their lives for themselves and their kids, but at the end of the day, they're still a mob family. They're not. That's who they are, and that's who they're always gonna be. I know we talked about The Sopranos last time in the first one, but same thing. Tony, right? He didn't want that life for his kids. His daughter, did well in school and went off to good college and was thinking about becoming a doctor, right? Tony was super happy, and his son was kind of stupid. But he tried his best to keep his son and his daughter out of the mob life.
They didn't even know that they're...
Yeah, they didn't even know he was a mobster for a while. So the daughter, she's the older one, she finds out.
Because she's smart.
Because she's smart, and then she tells the brother. So, that was a really big difference in... I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going with this.
You said that the Sopranos' father tried to keep the family out of the business.
Yeah, but where was I going with that?
And in relation, Michael...
Damn it, I don't remember.
I think Michael was grooming his son for it,
What do you mean? His son was getting christened at 8 years old.
Listen, I'm not saying he was like, this is how you run a mob family, but he was very adamant. He was like, Kay's gonna have another child, that's gonna be another son. I want sons for the family business. I need an heir. He definitely said the word heir at some point in the film. So he was ready to hand it down. He wanted them to go into the family business, which is exactly what his father didn't want.
Yeah.
That's the difference again.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the cinematography and editing of the movie.
I will say this one is not as iconic. It's not as aesthetic. There are some scenes that are really, really dark, like when Connie talks to him and they're in that room. It's like pitch black almost, except their faces. Yeah. And other scenes is like really bright. Yeah. And it doesn't have like the same like visual aesthetic throughout the film.
Yeah. 75% of the movie was too dark. It was almost hard to tell what was happening. So that wasn't done well. There's just too many long, unnecessary scenes, which, didn't help the movie's runtime.
That's on their editor.
Yeah, and, I have a few examples written down. One example was, they get to the Cuban president, right? So this is right during the rebellion of Castro, right? Castro hasn't taken over yet, but there's a lot of rebellions. So the mob bosses are trying to open up like hotels and resorts in Cuba.
They're trying to make a new Vegas.
Yeah, New Vegas in Havana, and they sit down with the president and they're all at this dinner table, and the president is like, "Here is my golden phone, made out of completely of gold. Pass it around and take a look at it."
And they're all like...
Yeah, they're just looking at the phone. It's like, "Oh, this is heavy." And they just pass it on. They pass it on by like 5-6 people before they cut the scene. And no one is really
They're
talking.
all like, "Yeah, that's heavy."
Yeah, that's a heavy phone. I mean, was that really... That whole scene, was that even necessary? Maybe it's to show like...
It's to show like...
The president is super pretentious and...
it's just that the president is so wasteful.
And the president is wasteful. Starving. When people are starving. But even... That was way too long. Another scene. So Fredo, as we talked about a little bit earlier, betrayed or went against the family to be a little bit selfish. He meets this guy Johnny Ola, and Johnny Ola, where it's working with Hyman Roth. Just remember these names. And
Hyman Roth is a big player in Florida, who's been in the game for a long time. He's super old.
Yeah. Old Jewish guy. And
lots of money.
Yeah, lots of money. And I don't know if it's like a stereotype about the Jewish man in mafia movies or in shows, but There was like one Jewish man running around trying to make everyone else rich.
Miserable.
Yeah.
And also miserable.
And
they always hate that guy.
Yeah, and he's always like sick or something like that.
Yeah. And he's always really old.
Yeah, like the music producer in The Sopranos,
yeah.
Right? So there's always one Jewish guy. But, he's just making money for everybody else. And he's always old, too, so that's why he's never been killed, because he's making money for everybody else.
But they hate him at the same time. They're like, this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Makes us so much money, but I freaking hate him.
Yeah. But, so Hyman Roth, Johnny Ola, they set up a plan to get Michael killed. And it failed, an assassination attempt. And Fredo was kind of... Well, Fredo didn't know it was going to be an assassination attempt. Fredo just wanted something for himself.
He thought it was going to be a sit-down.
Yeah, some type of sit-down, or
they would manhandle him or something.
Something.
Obviously, he knew something bad.
Yeah. Fredo, he talks about this in the movie. He feels some type of way. He's the second son behind Sonny. Sonny died in the first movie. And he was passed up to have Michael take the lead of the family. And Fredo feels some type of way being the older brother and not being given responsibilities because he's a bit of an idiot.
And not only that, in the opening scene, his wife is flirting with other men. She's flopping all over the dance floor.
Drunk out of her mind.
And Michael's bodyguard is like, if you don't handle this, we're going to handle it, And, he gets manhandled by his brother.
No, he doesn't get manhandled. It's Fredo. So, Michael...
He gets manhandled by everyone. He gets manhandled by his wife. He gets manhandled by his brother.
Yeah. But, I thought you meant in that specific scene. And then Fredo's like, the bodyguard's like, look, if you can't handle this situation, we're going to handle the situation. And Fredo concedes. He goes, you better handle this situation. So the bodyguard walks over, picks her up, and takes her off, right?
Because he knows he can't stop his wife because he's a little bitch baby.
Yeah.
Bitch maid.
But anyways, so, there's a scene when Fredo... Oh, hello, Josh, the Hitmanchu. Well, thank you for joining us. There's a scene when Michael first introduces Johnny Ola to Fredo, as if they've never met. And Fredo makes this face like, oh God, it's Johnny Ola, right? And then Fredo's like, oh, hey, yeah, nice to meet you, and Michael notices that.
That I will say the editing of that scene is pretty good. Like, they did, the cuts pretty well.
Yeah, like I said, the editing isn't all bad, but in my mind, that was sufficient. After that scene, they go, Fredo takes them all to see some show, right? And he keeps talking about the Superman. There's, some super jack guy in the show, and Fredo's like, look, here's a Superman. Look, Superman's gonna come out.
It's not that he's jack. It's like he's hung as a horse.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah. He's hung like a horse, right? It's like some weird sex show they go to. And then, but that whole scene was 5-10 minutes long.
The horse guy? Yeah, I don't...
Just for one line. It's like, hey, Fredo, how'd you find this place? Oh, Johnny Ola showed it to me. Right? Showing that he met Johnny Ola beforehand. But realistically, just that look that Fredo had would have been enough. That would suffice. Why do you need that whole Superman scene with the super hung man?
Because in contrast, there's a scene where Michael is being shown around Havana as an investment opportunity, and there's some rebels and some cops that are having an altercation, and one of them jumps into the car and it's a car bomb, right? And Michael sees that car bomb explosion, right? And he doesn't say anything, but at the end of the whole Havana trip, he goes, I'm not going to invest, right? And that's because of the car bomb. He knew that whole situation in Cuba was a mess, and he knew that it was going to be risky business. And so he was like, I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to do it, right? And they just cut to his face very quickly after the car bomb. And that was all it took, for him to make that decision. And it was all it took for us to understand why he made that decision. So to have to do it twice, it's respect the viewer.
Yeah, even they talk about it during this Hyman Roth's birthday scene when they're cutting the cake and wish him a happy birthday. Another scene that was too long. And then Michael Corleone, he's like,
show everyone the cake.
Yeah, show everyone the cake before you cut it. And, Michael even says it. If these rebels are willing to die for the cause, without getting paid, then they can win. And, Michael was super hesitant about investing. But, yeah, so, there's too many of those scenes. It's too long.
Yeah, did we really need to say, I went to this place with Hyman, or with Ola before, that was a little too obvious.
Yeah. And, just going back into the editing, towards the end, when Kay, right, she tells Michael, I didn't have a miscarriage. It was an abortion. I didn't want to have another one of your kids, Michael. You're a horrible person, yada, yada. Michael's like fuming, and she just goes, yeah, I'm going to get a divorce from you. I'm going to take your kids away, my kids away from you. You're an evil person, yada, yada. And bam, Michael slaps the shit out of Kay, right? Right? Like, you're not taking my kids from me, and slap, right? And then it cuts right to a scene from Vito's path into the train, just suddenly, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I was like, why? You couldn't plan that any better. It was like to try to cut the tension, but it was so bad.
And also, it was like a high point in the climax, towards the climax of the film, and I feel like they put it right in the middle of the film. It's a big character development for him to get to that point, and yet they put it in the middle of the film. Yes, there's domestic abuse in both of the Godfather films.
In the second movie, it's just this one scene. He slaps her. It's the first time he's ever laid a hand on his wife.
He's Catholic.
Yeah, they're super Catholic.
And abortion is illegal at this point in time.
Yeah,
it's the 50s.
Yeah, it's the 50s. Abortion's still legal, and she aborts Michael's son, and is telling him, we're getting a divorce, and I'm taking the kids away from you. So all that in like 10-second span, she just lays it all on him, and of course he's like immensely furious.
I will say he plays the fury very well. He has that quiet shake. And
Al Pacino is a great actor.
Pretty good.
Amazing actor. I love Al Pacino.
That scene was well acted.
Yeah. That scene was very well done. Other than just the sudden slap. She's on the couch. He's staring at her. Literally just 2 seconds go by, and then choo choo. It's a train.
Yeah, poor editing.
But let's unless you had any more words about the editing and the cinematography, I think we can move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
But yeah, there's a lot more. Going back to what we were saying earlier, there's a lot more domestic violence in the first movie. Unfortunately,
it always makes John's blood boil.
Yeah, I just don't understand how people can get to that point. It's very infuriating. But anyways,
I will say what I appreciate is their ability to hold back in the first film, because he's chasing her around the apartment in the first film, but when he really starts to beat her, it's they run into the bathroom, right? And the door has a mirror on it, and it swings forward and kind of swings back and forth, and he's beating on her, and you can't see it in the film, right? But you see glimpses of it when you see the mirror door swing back and forth, and that's
yeah,
great.
That editing was amazing.
Much better.
Very well done.
I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah,
but to give you that glimpse of violence with the swinging door, very good.
And yeah, you do see some of it, and he is hitting her with the belt. And you see that a bit, and then but he really starts laying it on her when they run into the bathroom.
And you don't have to see it.
Yeah. So again, but just shows the contrast of editing.
Yeah, agreed.
But again, let's go back to some of the highlights of the film that I liked. So the Vito half of the movie, with a belt, and it's his pregnant wife that he's beating. So if you do watch the first movie, just prepare yourself mentally.
And she's 95 pounds soaking wet. She's extremely skinny.
I don't know if you guys seen the movie Rocky. It's Adrian. She's the actress. and she's a scrawny, small woman.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't know if you've seen Rocky, but that's who it is, who's playing the movie. But oh yeah, don't apologize. We love interaction with our viewers via, stream chat on Twitch or on YouTube. If you leave comments on our YouTube channel,
we will address them in the following video.
Yes. We didn't have any comments on the first one really that had any questions or thoughts or concerns, so we didn't really bring them up this episode. But if there are, we're ready. But yeah, let's go into some of the highlights. So, as bad as the Michael Corleone half of the movie was, I really enjoyed the Vito Corleone half.
And the actor, what's his name?
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro did a great job because he has to follow, what's his name?
Marlon Brando's footsteps.
Thank you. He had to follow Marlon Brando's footsteps, playing the same character, right? That's rough because Marlon Brando, chef's kiss. But Robert De Niro did a great job. He's charismatic.
Yeah, he won the Best Supporting Actor for this role.
And he does the voice.
He did the voice spot on.
Pretty good.
Like he even, says the line in the movie, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse." And I was like, when I first saw that movie, I was like, oh, hey, there's the line, Yeah, so, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, so he brings the charisma. Yeah. The editing is better. The set, the old-timey set, done very well.
Yeah. So, like I said, everything across the board was better in the Vito half of the movie. And, a scene that I loved was when after the Vito gets the shakedown, right, from Finucci, Vito, decides, you know what, I'm going to kill this fucker, right? He's threatening my way of life and my family, and this guy needs to go down. And so, he's, breaks into the guy's apartment building,
Well, first he's following him from the rooftop.
Right, yeah, he's jumping across rooftops, following him, he grabs...
So, the scene is... It's from above, and you can see Vito crawling on the rooftop. But you can also see the street from above, and you can see Finucci walking on the street, too. So you see both of them, and that's a great scene, vantage point.
Yeah, again,
directing.
I don't understand why the editing and cinematography was so good for that half, but the other half, everyone's just like, but Michael's half is like, yeah, that's fine. People aren't here to see Michael's story, they're here to see Vito's. Hold on, I just need to look something up so I don't forget later. Okay. Sorry, just looking something up. But, that whole scene of when he decides, all right, I'm going to kill this guy, eventually he breaks into the Finucci's apartment. He, untwists the ball right outside the guy's door, to stall Finucci, right? And he's waiting in the shadows, has his gun.
He wraps
it with a towel, to silence it. And, Finucci walks into the building, walking up the stairs, starts messing with the light bulb a little bit to fix it. And, Vito's waiting in the dark, just waiting, right? And, just that anticipation, reminded me of that Alfred Hitchcock quote. There's no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. And
shaking.
Oh, sorry. And that line, that scene was just so, like, oh my God, here it goes. You want it to happen. It's like, it just builds and builds. So really well done. Like I said, the movie wasn't a complete bust, despite what we were talking about the first half of this podcast. Granted, something I do wish about, the Vito half of the movie, I really do wish they elaborated more on how Vito goes from killing Finucci, the old mob boss, to becoming the next Don.
So he'd already gotten a bit into the crime world. He's buying stolen dresses or taking stolen dresses and selling them,
Yeah.
So he's already established in the crime world.
Yeah, but I look at it this way, right? So He's not that established, in my opinion. You know, it's
Yeah,
really
no,
just
it's very
him.
early, yeah.
It's really just him, Clemenza, and who's the other guy?
The tall one that looks like Creature.
Yeah, so it's really just them three, right? They're stealing stuff and reselling them.
Tutio?
No, I forget his name.
The one that betrays... Anyway.
And then, you know, you see... I'm sorry. But Finucci, he had this whole system down in this entire neighborhood at least.
Protection.
And, the whole protection thing. You'd think there'd be some, like, system set in place in case he did die, that where, you know, someone else would take over.
He said he only has daughters, if you recall.
Well, yeah, I mean, it might not have been one of his sons, but, you know, there's capos and...
I'm just saying.
You know, there's things in place, you know. Going back to The Sopranos... great series, by the way. You should watch it if you get the chance. When Jackie, the old mob boss, dies, all the capos kind of get together. They talk about who should be the next head of the family. It's between Tony and his uncle. And Tony decides, I'm gonna let my uncle have this. I don't want there to be any bad blood, right? But there is a system in place. None of them were related to Jackie.
Yeah, but I mean, this is early. This is like the very beginning of organized crime. This is the first generation.
Yeah, like I said, you think there'd be something in place. It's kind of hard to think just three guys got all the way up to that power, even though Finucci had a whole system in place.
Anyways,
I do wish they kind of elaborated that a little bit more. Going into that, there's a scene where you see Sonny, Fredo as a little baby, right? But Fredo is wearing a blue dress, right? And then you see like infant Michael, and that's why I thought that was Connie. That's why I thought Connie was older than Michael because of that. I know there was something that made me think Connie was older.
That's valid. It's straight up a dress. It's not like, oh, that could be like, it's a dress.
Yeah. But anything else about Vito?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, like I said, I would only recommend someone watch this movie just for the Vito half of the movie. It was great. I loved it. But, going back to the whole Michael half of the movie, there's some other things that just bothered me. So Michael, he eventually, plans a revenge to kill Hyman Roth for, attempting to kill him.
And his wife.
And his wife.
The bed where my wife sleeps.
Yeah. But the assassination attempt is botched because... So Hyman Roth gets sick, he's in the hospital, and Michael sets up this plan to kill Hyman Roth in the hospital. Keep in mind he's an old man, right? And
how hard is it to kill an old man?
Well,
an old sick man.
There's that, right? But when the assassin he sends, for some reason, he decides to smother Hyman Roth, right? And during that process, the guards come in and they kill the assassin, right? So Hyman Roth lives. Something that always bothered me was why smother him? Is it, there's a few reasons I thought. Like, is it to
make it look like he just died in his sleep?
Yeah, but the question is, why would you want that? I mean, was it to not scare the other potential investors? Michael was already not wanting to invest. Michael already wanted to pull on the deal. So Michael didn't care about that. And besides, it's like, you should kill him purposely to send a message. You try to kill me and my wife, I'm gonna kill the shit out of you. Why would you want to make it look like an accident? So that just made no sense. And if they just killed him, slit his throat.
Listen, they tried to slit that other guy's throat. What did they do? Hang him? How'd they try to kill him?
What guy?
In the bar when they get caught.
Oh, yeah, they took the string and tried to kill him.
Yeah. They botched that, too. Michael is losing his touch, obviously.
Michael didn't plan that, though. Hyman Roth planned that and said it was from Michael.
I'm just saying.
So, I don't know what these mafia guys are doing or thinking. Just slit the throat, knife, done. But, let's see. Yeah, so, that whole thing just didn't make sense to me. And yeah, just after I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes here.
So the way I see the two, Hyman Roth and Michael, is that they can't make big plays against each other because they're the two big players. They're both in like this weird like Cold War thing where they're moving people against each other on the down low, but on a face value, they're both like, yeah, we're business partners, we're friends. But you know, underneath everything, they're both moving against each other. But what's it say?
Way off topic, but did you kill Legion and put her on your sweater?
I know, doesn't it look just like her? She's so cute.
No, Legion's running around somewhere. But yeah, that's why she got this sweater, because it reminded her of Legion. Legion's our black cat, for our viewers that don't know.
The one that was running around all the beginning of this. Yeah, so as I was saying, they give me like a Cold War vibe, you know, where they're both stancing off each other, so...
Yeah, very indirect.
Yeah.
Just,
whereas in the other ones, they're having a straight up war against each other.
It's like an overcomplicated game of chess.
Yes. That's what also I don't like about this second film is like the plot is unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, it's overly complicated and long, drags on.
There's a whole scene that John doesn't even remember until we watched it, the whole court scene.
Yeah, like, I mean, I remember the court scene. I completely forgot why the court scene was happening and that Frank was in the court scene.
Yeah. And I honestly kind of unnecessary. The only reason that they had it was to bring that other guy into it, Frank. Otherwise, completely unnecessary. They're just like, hey, remember Frank, the guy that almost got murdered? He's here.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, that was just a waste of time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he kills himself at the end. It's kind of like iconic, that scene, you know, when he slits his own wrist and, you know, in the bathtub, like the old Romans did when they betrayed the emperor and were caught. So it's an iconic scene, but it wasn't necessary. You know, but there were some iconic scenes that...
I think they could have still done it without the court scene, because that was like a waste of like another 20 minutes.
At least another 20 minutes. Yeah, but going into iconic scenes, you know, there were some great iconic scenes in this movie. You know, there was Michael's kiss of death to his brother, Fredo.
You break my heart.
You break my heart, Fredo. You know, yeah, and he, you know, he kisses him right on the lips in the middle of a party. You know, you break my heart, Fredo. You know, because he realizes that, you know, he betrayed him. Yes, Fredo dies. And you know, just another more iconic scene. You know, Michael has this very famous line: "If anything in this life is certain, if history has taught us anything, it's that you can kill anyone."
That's when he kills Hyman Roth.
Yeah, that's when he kills Hyman Roth, despite security being all over him. And yeah, and another iconic scene.
It also feels reminiscent of when they murder Oswald, the guy who killed
JFK.
Yeah, because that guy, like, in front of cops, in front of reporters, shoots Oswald, and then he gets gunned down and killed right then and there. But, you know, it's a mob hit, you know. That guy knew he was going to die, but...
Yeah, how much would it take you to kill someone knowing you die right after?
My family would have to be set for life. You know, like, my kids' should be set. Maybe... 200 million.
Wow.
I value my life. I think another iconic scene that always stuck with me growing up watching it was when little Vito is in next to the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and he's quarantined because he has smallpox. And he's in the little room by himself, and he's like this teeny tiny kid, and he's just singing, and you know, he's looking out into New York across the Hudson Bay, I think. And that one really stuck with me. And when we went to New York, my stepdad and mom and baby brother, we all went onto the boat to see the Statue of Liberty. And we all agreed we weren't going to get off the boat. We were going to go on the boat and come back. And all of a sudden, we look, and my stepdad's missing. And we're like, where did he go? And we look over, and he's off the boat. He's going to see Ellis Island. And we're all like, we got to go. Get off the boat right now. So we all, like, run off the boat. And he's like, I wanted to see Ellis Island because of The Godfather. You know, iconic scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great scene.
But I think the best scene is...
The most iconic scene in this movie is the scene where Fredo dies. Michael, you know, he orders... So, during the movie, you know, Fredo gets kicked out of the family because, you know, of the whole, you know, Fredo betraying the family and almost getting Michael killed. So Michael kicks him out of the family. But towards the end, you know, Michael brings him back into the family once their mother dies. But, you know, Michael never forgave him, and Michael orders his brother to be killed. And, you know, so Fredo's about to go out fishing with Michael's son. But, you know, Michael's son, last minute before they get on the boat, you know, Connie calls him over and says, hey, you know, you gotta go to this thing. So Fredo goes out on the boat by himself with, you know, the guy who's driving the boat. And, you know, he's out there, you know, saying, you know, a Hail Mary, you know, because that's his good luck charm when he goes fishing. Fredo's saying the Hail Mary, and, you know, out on Lake Tahoe. And Michael is staring out the window of his house, just staring, right? You know, this iconic scene, and then bang, right? And, you know, Michael goes back into the room, sits down on the couch, just contemplating, and that's how the movie ends, you know, black screen. Yeah, and there's a lot of argument about whether or not Fredo knew he was going to die.
My opinion is that he did not know he was going to die.
Yeah. So I think Fredo knew he was going to die at that moment when, you know, the nephew gets taken away, and, you know, it's just gonna be him going out to fish.
Just kind of accepts it.
You know, he doesn't want to make a scene in front of his nephew. Like I said, you know, he knew in his heart that he betrayed his brother, and, you know, he knew he was never going to be forgiven deep down, despite wanting to be forgiven. So, you know, it just says that last Hail Mary, you know, before he dies.
I think Fredo's a coward, and cowards are always going to scramble, you know. So if this guy knew it was coming, he was going to wriggle and squirm. So they had to hit him when he wasn't expecting it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was his fault.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's also the kind of goes back into the whole theme of Michael has lost his soul.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of goes into this other, you know, really cute scene. You know, it shows Michael, it's
towards the very end.
Towards the end, Michael, it's like a flashback scene. So in the first movie, Michael comes back from World War II. You know, World War II just ended, and, you know, Michael came back from the war.
He's a war hero.
Right, he's a war hero. Oh, there's Legion.
See, I told you I didn't kill her.
And so this flashback scene is Michael, his two brothers, his adopted brother, Connie, and Connie's future husband. Right, they're all just sitting at this table waiting for, you know, Vito's, you know, they're going to celebrate their dad's birthday. Sorry, Legion. And Michael tells them, hey, I'm going to join the Marines and fight the Nazis. And, you know, the whole family is clearly upset. They're like, well, hey, why are you doing this?
Why are you so stupid?
Why are you so stupid? You know, you're going to die for people you don't even know. You know,
when you could be with the family.
Yeah, you know, and Pop, you know, he pulled a lot of strings to get you,
not drafted.
You know, deferred from drafting, and, you know, but Michael's like, no, you know, I feel, you know, this is the way, you know, I feel that, you know, I should go and fight for my country, and, you know, clearly the whole family is upset, and they get, then the dad comes home, right? And everyone leaves the table to go greet the dad, right, at the door. And Michael's just sitting there alone by himself, just in silence. Everyone else is over there singing happy birthday, to their dad. And, Michael's just sitting there all alone. And I think it always showed that Michael was always alone from his family. He loved his family loved him, but he was always the different one, odd one out in a sense. And the idea that he puts duty above family instead of the reverse, what Vito does. He puts family above duty, and showed that Michael was alone, but he always managed. Despite being alone, being in the war, taking over the family, and he always will be alone, but he will always manage.
That scene for me is totally different.
Really?
For me, it's like they're sitting at the table together, and there's Sonny, and he's been killed by the business.
Yeah, he gets killed later.
And there's Carlo, Connie's husband, and he's been killed by the business.
Yeah.
Michael directly kills him, has him killed. And then there's Fredo, who has just been killed.
No. Fredo doesn't get killed yet.
Well, he knows he's about to kill Fredo. Michael knows he's about to kill Fredo, So there's Fredo, and he's going to be dead soon. And there's Connie, and she's on husband number 3, 4, because she's constantly putting herself in danger because she wants Michael to be hurt. She knows that the only way she can hurt Michael is by hurting herself, and he's pushed her away by murdering her husband. And it's like, you can see how far Michael has fallen, because in that moment they were a family and they were all together, and at the end Michael's all alone because of himself.
Yeah.
Not that Sonny's death is Michael's fault, but it's the business. It's the whole.
No. But yeah.
Fruit of the poison tree.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a whole, next level, to be killed by your own blood. But like I said, he was part of the whole plan to get Michael and his wife killed. Fredo didn't know that they were going to be killed, or there was going to be an assassination attempt, but, Fredo still played a part in it.
But, you think about it, and Vito would never.
Vito would never.
Vito would never. Even if it was his life, even if it was his wife and his children's life in danger, he would never have put the hit out on him.
Oh.
And that's the difference between them. That's the whole movie, is the difference between those two.
Yeah. One last thing. I guess it's considered an iconic scene, but not well done. Kay and Michael, they get separated, and Michael obviously gets, what's the word? Not ownership, the custody of the kids. And, Kay, she still gets to visit the kids, right? But Michael just straight up doesn't want to see her. So, when Michael's, about to come back, Kay has to get rushed out of the house. Like, hey, Kay, you gotta leave. Michael's coming.
Shaking.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Michael, you gotta leave, or Kay, you gotta leave. Michael's coming. So, Kay obviously is having a hard time saying goodbye to her 2 kids. Her son doesn't want to kiss her, doesn't want to be all mushy. He's getting to that age where, tween that guys don't want to be all mushy with their mothers. Or you can say, argue.
I think he's been poisoned, against his mother.
Yeah, but, so Kay Kay's like outside the back door, right? She's trying to get a goodbye from her son. And then Michael walks into the room, right? And, it's like, Michael. And Michael just walks over to the door and just closes the door in Kay's face, right? And that was just a pitiful attempt at recreating the iconic door closing scene of the first movie.
I didn't even think about that because it doesn't hit I don't know if that's legit what they were trying to do, but
That's what it felt like. Door closing between Michael and Kay.
maybe. Like I said, the whole Kay narrative was poorly placed because they put that so much in the middle of the film that it just kind of like is its own thing and it doesn't really hit because it falls flat.
Yeah, like if they moved that to towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
Like if they just switched that and the court hearing scenes, I think would have hit a lot better.
Yeah, because it just doesn't make sense where it is.
Yeah, just like I said, again, bad editing, bad planning, just bad overall.
Well, I mean, you still gave it an 8.5.
Well, yeah, like I said, there's still some great things. Like, half of the movie is the Vito movie, right? And that part was great. I loved it almost, 100%. I love that part.
I think there's still lines, too, that are good. Like, obviously, you break my heart.
Yeah. And, Michael's wasn't 100% bad. There's some good things.
Or the one when Hyman Roth is like, if I come out after my nap and there's the suitcase on the table, I'll know I have a partner.
Yeah. So, like I said, there were some good things. So, you take half of the movie, which I would give an A. Other half of the movie, I give, a C? Average them out. B.
Right.
8.5.
And they also try to recreate the whole murder scene where they, like, kill off a bunch of the other family people in the first film.
Yeah.
And, like, those are all warranted and legit, right? Because they're in a war. But in this scene, they just, like, kill a bunch of people. Besides Hyman Roth,
Yeah. It was just very...
Was it really necessary?
No. So, like I said, still a decent watch. Like I said, I only really recommend it for the Vito half of the movie.
If you have 3.5 hours to watch, enjoy.
Yeah, if you have 3.5 hours to kill. It's, again, one of those movies where ideally you see it all in one sitting if you've never seen it before.
Yeah, if you look at the icon for the second Godfather, it's the boat scene.
Yeah, right up there. It's the third movie on the top. Yeah, that's the boat scene where Fredo gets killed.
Yeah.
I think
you
that's
can
Fredo's
all
body
slumped
over.
Yeah.
Although you don't actually see Fredo get killed.
You don't... Well, you see, like, the silhouettes. So you don't, like, see, like, full details. You see the silhouettes on the water. And that, honestly, is better. Like I said earlier when...
Yeah, but...
With the door scene where you don't see the violence. Like, that makes it so much better.
Yeah, but you don't even see that.
You don't see the gunshot either. You see the silhouette and you hear the gunshot.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. So again, probably the most iconic scene. But yeah, any last questions, comments, or concerns?
That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, so again...
Still a good series.
It's still a good movie. Decent movie. Definitely worth a watch at least once in your life if you haven't seen it.
Josh Park.
Time to Google Fredo's death. But yeah, it's a very iconic scene. The last scene in The Godfather. So if you just Google last scene of Godfather Part II, you'll just should pop up.
Yeah. That brings The Godfather to a close with this series, anyway.
Yeah, we are not...
Because the third one is not on the list, thank God.
Yeah, we are not going to watch the third one. It is terrible. D is what I give it.
I don't know.
Although, so according to the critics, so they give the first Godfather about like an A minus. They give the second Godfather an A to A plus.
Okay.
And then they give the third Godfather like a B average.
Wow. Very generous.
Very generous.
But then again, they gave Toy Story 3...
Oh, that's Rotten Tomato. That's a whole nother issue.
A 97%.
Yeah, I'm going to say this again. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes.
He hates it.
Fuck Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care if the Rotten Tomatoes people come knocking on my door. I'm going to slap their face and beat their ass.
I don't know. I'll take a sponsorship.
I ain't going to be sponsored by them crappy people.
I'll just say this is a Metacritic household.
Yeah. Let's see. Just to...
Next film will be Shawshank Redemption. We'll be watching that and talking about it maybe this weekend. They're called rotten for a reason.
Yeah, just some of their reviews.
That's what Josh Park said.
Yeah, this is making absolutely no sense.
What was that thing you had queued up?
Oh, no, that's for you.
Oh, for me.
It has to do with The Godfather, but, just a fun little scene from The Simpsons.
Yep, so the next film is Shawshank, and after that will be The Dark Knight.
Yes, so Shawshank will be our next movie. So like I said, we're hoping to try to do these every Sunday. We couldn't yesterday. We were both feeling kind of sick.
Yeah, a little under the weather.
Yeah, a little under the weather.
It's not COVID. We just have body aches and headaches.
Yeah, just like, I'm thinking it's just a regular flu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing to worry about, but...
All right. I think that's it.
Yeah. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
I believe that's what they say.
I've never said that before.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, on our YouTube channel, Cupcakes and Hot Takes. It's time for you to go watch the Saints get messed up by the Dolphins.
I'd like to see the Dolphins try.
Nah, it's already 9:40. Oh, it's 9:40. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so maybe not watch that game.
Well, you could still catch the last half.
Yeah. Well,
They're getting wrecked. Really? The Saints are?
Yeah, really. I mean, I will say the Dolphins, the Cowboys destroyed the Redskins. I mean, I know they're not the Redskins.
But the Saints destroyed
I'm going to call them the Redskins
Bucks.
until...
What the heck?
Dolphins up 17-3. Okay, that's not that... I mean, it's not that good.
Still pretty good.
All right. So thank you again for watching. Like I said, next episode will be Shawshank Redemption, which I am really excited for. I do love that movie. The story of the greatest troll in cinematic history.
Why is he a troll?
What do you mean? He trolls the warden and everybody.
The warden deserved it, though.
Yeah, he would
just deserved.
That doesn't mean he's not a troll.
I figured trolls just do it for the lulz.
Like when people troll racists on on the internet, right?
They deserve it too.
They deserve it.
I think of trolls as just doing it for the lulz.
It's both.
Like Kyungmin. Looking at you, Kyungmin.
Yeah, like I said, it can be both. All right. Well, this has been Cupcakes and Hot Takes with Maral and John. I'm John.
I'm Maral.
And thanks again for watching.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.